everyone is talking about, this a famous phone call between Xi and Trump, and who's going to make the call first and who's going to blink. But maybe at the end of the day, the improvement of the bilateral relationship is not going to be a top-down process. It's going to be a bottom-up process.
最近，美国关税谈判又迎来戏剧性的一幕。美国坚称目前与中国正在谈判，甚至会达成协议，但中国外交部接连2次否认，称希望美方不要混淆视听。中美双方谁会先打电话？特朗普掀起的关税战该如何破局，成了最近国际舆论的聚焦点。美国杜克大学亚太研究所客座教授、中美研究中心专家丹尼斯·西蒙4月24号独家接受香港中通社专访时表示，中美民间基层交流或可向上影响决策者。
So we expand the people-to-people diplomacy, continue to engage in education, science and technology, cultural affairs, etc. We can create an upward momentum that will begin to influence the decision makers that the two societies actually can engage with each other in a win-win way. And from the successes in those areas, then we can begin to tackle some of the other issues at the top. We have some of that. You heard about lots of dialogues. I'm involved in 2 dialogues, one on talent and one on higher education. And, there's a dialogue on AI, there's a dialogue on many things. The one on health, pandemics, that hasn't gotten much traction, but at least they're trying to get them to talk about it. So I think that may be a more fruitful pathway in the short term.
西蒙称，他已预料到了中国会强硬回击特朗普的对等关税政策，认为美国政府对中国存在误解，对华政策的制定也过于随意。中美如今的较量就如同乒乓球比赛，但这种反复博弈并不能够把对方带回谈判桌。中美双方应尝试用对方的视角来解决问题。
Personally, my sense is that Trump thought that he would get that phone call from Xi Jinping. He thought that the impact on China was going to be so difficult, but I think they reached the point, particularly the part about discrimination, when Trump said, okay, for 90 days I'm going to lower the tariff on all these other countries except China. He didn't understand, and nobody advised him how critical that was when he did that. So I think that was a total misunderstanding. I don't know who's advising him on China policy. It may seem like he's making China policy as he goes along. Maybe he's not asking his people, what to do, when to do it. But the people that he does have advising, in terms of the cabinet, etc., they are hardliners. They're so-called China bashers, not panda huggers, right? So, the China bashers really have a very critical perspective on China. It's almost to the point of China can do no right. And that's not a realistic assumption. I think Americans would do well to understand China more deeply and more profoundly because we don't do enough of that in a way that will help us work with China to solve real problems. We kind of think they hit us, we hit back to them, and it's like a hard game of ping pong, right? But in contrast to 1971, where we played ping pong and it helped to facilitate relations, this kind of ping pong is really hard, hard business. And I don't think that back and forth is going to get us to a point. You have to look at the world, through Chinese lenses. Take off your glasses as an American, put on Chinese lenses. And if you're a Chinese, you have to put on American lenses, and you see a different objective reality. And we need to do more of that. We don't have enough empathy between the two societies, and we could do a better job of doing that, I think.
西蒙认为，中国作为一个出口导向型的经济体，在过去几十年的全球化中受益最多。但如今全球化进入了分裂和碎片化时代，尽管人员、资本、信息、数据自由流通没有戛然而止，但已越来越受限。这将迫使中国进行转型，不过中国早已做好准备。
I think the Chinese have come to a realistic assessment. They didn't just wake up today and understand in 2025 we got all these issues. They knew already in 2020, 2018, and even before that the international environment was changing, in some cases very dramatically. So they began to prepare, not only with 自主创新 or indigenous innovation, but also with the self-strengthening and also to improving the talent training. That's why, for example, there are many reasons why DeepSeek is an important project. But one of the most important reasons is that the talent used to develop DeepSeek were all domestically trained. Nobody went overseas for school. They all primarily were from being educated within China. And I think that's something, periodically has been a big question, particularly among foreigners. But I think the DeepSeek success really suggests that China can and will be one of the leading innovators in the international science and technology system. And I think that's guaranteed. Whether it'll be the number one or number two, I don't think that really matters. What really matters is that China wants to be working at the cutting edge in science and engineering and in technology development, and it would seem to me to benefit the United States if we could work together and collaborate, because 1 + 1 can equal 3. The synergies from collaboration greatly outweigh the risks that people suggest exist. I don't believe those risks basically can explain away the fact that we don't need to cooperate with one another. We do need to cooperate with one another, and we need to understand how to work together. So if we can achieve that, there's hopefulness, and so I want to be hopeful about the future.